In this video, I'm going to be breaking down one of our highest kill wins in Duo FNCS this season. Something you gotta know though is every single duo operates differently. So some of these tricks may help you out, but you gotta experiment with your own duo and try to build chemistry on your own. But I'm gonna be letting you get inside my mind throughout this game on how I try to be a good duo for Trey. Starting out with off spawn. There were multiple teams here, but we saw them all go into those far buildings, so we claimed this entire side. That forces all of them to fight on the opposite side, and we can go clean it up with a third party pretty easily. Most of our early and mid game fights, we started out by pushing from two different angles, like Trey is on their back and I'm pushing up from their front. We gotta coordinate it though so that we end up jumping in at the same time. By doing this, I almost get a free knock by shooting through the front door here because they thought we were both on the other side. This fight went on a little bit longer than it should have because I was trying to shoot through the window here and the lever just would not go through it. But we just kept on rotating around the building until we got the right angle and then we got all the kills. While we were rotating in the mid game, a team was in front of us on our rotate. And this is our W key game, so we're looking to take this fight. Notice how Trey starts pushing to the left and he's building while going to the left. So the enemies are most likely going to assume we're both over there. But I take my time and rotate to the right, that way I can get a sneak fry from behind. There's gotta be trust, you know, I gotta trust that Trey's not gonna get knocked in the amount of time that it takes for me to get that sneak fry. And I tell him that I'm going for that play when I do it. Communication is key. So I end up doing 90 damage and that's when we both full on push. The guy's teammate built up towards me to try to keep me off them. And while this happened, Trey had an opportunity to jump the guy's teammate. The play, however, didn't work. We didn't end up getting the knock, so we had to slow down and think of our next play. I go for a chop on the guy above me and we both look at that, trying to shoot him while he falls. But they ended up getting together and we had to restart the fight there. I heard rifters go off nearby, so I'm taking time to scout around and make sure that we're not getting third partied. And now this is where we outplay them heavily. So we're just spraying their boxes from different angles, trying to funnel them into traps, but one of them ends up building up. So now they're split. One's on low ground, one's on high ground. At first, Trey and I start building up to the guy on high ground, but he's just cranking to the moon. So this is what we do. Trey drops down onto the guy's teammate on low ground, but I pretend like I drop down as well. I'm actually lurking on an upper layer. So when Trey starts full fighting the guy's teammate, the guy on high ground drops down and I surprise him from behind. Trey knocked the guy on low ground, we had a health advantage on the other guy, and we finished up the fight pretty easily. That fight was all about clear communication and kind of tricking the opponents. These players were boxed up at the start of this fight. We instantly get on two different sides of the opponents, and we're just full on spraying from two different sides to start the fight. And it's hard to hold off two different sprays from two different sides, so I start bleeding some bullets through, and we get them both pretty weak here. That's when we get up close on the same player. We're on both sides of him. That's just a free kill. There's nothing he can really do. And then the other player panicked and immediately pushed, even though he was pretty weak, and Trey cleaned him up real quick. Next fight, we're applying pressure from two different angles, just like before, and I noticed that neither of them are on this side wall. That's why I push up and grab it. If they were there, they might have been able to box me, but they were a box over, so I could get it pretty freely, and I get a health advantage. And now I just sit behind this peak and spray while Trey pressures up close. If you have somebody on your wall and you're getting sprayed from the side as well, it is so hard to counter that, which is why Trey got the freest kill here. And once we get that first knock, I get the full, so Trey gets some HP back, and I immediately start hunting down his teammate. I see him popping a slurp in the dead center of his box here. Whenever I notice someone in their box dead center with no cone in, I try to cone them, because then I can box underneath them just like I do here and drop them down. I tell Trey that I have him full boxed and I just wait and be patient for Trey to get there. Once Trey gets there, I edit because the player's not even facing me anymore and we get the free kill. At the start of this next fight, I noticed that Trey and I are kind of starting to pressure from the same angle. Like he's directly to the right of me, we're pressuring pretty much the same box. So I stop what I'm doing and I go to look for an angle on the other side. Maybe they're gonna rebox where I'm headed. Now that we're on two opposite sides, we both need to be playing pretty safe from a distance. That way we don't get jumped, and I'm just taking walls from far away and applying pressure. And I do a lot of damage to both the players here. I don't get in yet though because Trey's still a little bit weak. I just keep applying pressure so they can't heal, and by the time Trey's healthy, we can attack. I see an opportunity to put a ramp over this guy. He had nothing in his box, which pushes him back to the same box as his teammate pretty much. And Trey's pressuring from that side and he ends up getting a kill. Throughout these fights, I'm really just applying pressure, trying to get them weak and funnel them towards Trey so that he can finish the fight, or vice versa. And it works really well. Once Trey gets that first knock, the other player starts to run away and we just have to hunt him down. He went to our old fight, so it wasn't too much of a problem. It's starting to get late in the game, and at this point, you gotta take your fights more selectively because you can get third-partied really really easily. We see people fighting on the back edge of zone, so we position on the edge and just spray back at them. Should be a free kill, and we got a free kill out of it. But it's time to start focusing the end game. We start rotating to the first moving zone. On these type of rotates, these half and half zones, Trey focuses on the front and I focus on blocking behind. Trey doesn't want to build behind him because that'll block me off and potentially get me killed. So I have to focus on any players that are following behind us and building walls so they can't shoot me or Trey. But in this case, there was literally no one following us. We had already cleared this whole side of the zone, so it was really free. But that rule applies especially in stacked lobbies and on these far half and half rotates. Now it's the actual moving zones. To start this out, we were trying to get to the right side because that was the dead side of zone, but we had to cross through the center of the zone to do that, and I ended up getting sprayed. When I get weak, I gotta focus on playing myself. So I get a slurp off, trust that Trey's gonna make a safe flare, and then I get to him afterwards. He made it all the way to the right side of the zone, and you can see it's just so free. We're building in wood, just blocking one side, saving a lot of mats, and we get all the way to the front. When we're going to sprint right here, I knew there were kids behind, so this is where my job comes in of blocking the back. I build high walls up so they can't shoot us as we're sprinting ahead. Once we get to the front edge, we immediately start looking for frag opportunities, trying to find a refresh, trying to get free kills. It's game 1 of FNCS, so we need to be getting as many kills as possible. By spraying back at all these people that were following us, we ended up getting a kill, and those mats are just sitting there. And the zone pulled straight to it, so we're like, bro, we might as well go for that. I knew there was a team to our left. I had just fried them, so I just build off that side as we slide down these ramps and get the free refresh. The zone pretty much stays level at this point, so being on low ground here is not a bad thing. We can just keep playing this layer and frag everybody that drops down. The biggest thing we focus on is moving as a unit, you know, fighting the same team at all points in time, trying to stick close together so that we don't get picked off as a solo. Trey gets a kill here and we're on back edge of zone. I trust that he's just gonna grab those mats, and while he does that, I get us ahead. Usually when you get kills in endgame, one person should go for the refresh and one person should make sure you have room, make sure you're not gonna get suffocated from getting that refresh. You just have to communicate so that you don't end up both going for the refresh and then getting cut off. I see a play to cut off this team, and I was telling Trey, he at first said no, but I insisted, and so he cut them off from the front while I boxed them from the side here. When I get hit, I just rotate ahead and let Trey finish that fight, and he gets the kill. At this point, the lobby is almost fully dead. We have the low ground fully claimed at this point, so it's time to start applying pressure to other layers. We get to the front edge and start spraying up at high ground, and Trey ends up knocking one of those players up there. And so we just build up on the other player, which honestly might not have been the best idea. We could have just kept on playing this low ground there and spraying up at them, and they probably would have died and we wouldn't have wasted all of our mats, but we end up getting that kill. The only problem is now it's a 2v2 and we just wasted all of our mats and we're on high ground. So when that team starts spraying us down, we have no mats to keep it, and so now we have to finish the fight basically playing 0 builds. I don't know how, but Trey managed to knock one of them, and so then we just had to play super safe and keep that same mentality from before, spraying from 2 different angles. And even though we have 0 mats, there's nothing you can really do when getting sprayed down by 2 mythic flapjacks. So that was me getting inside my mind on duos. I do this a lot for solos, but I never actually did it for duos before. Let me know if you guys want to see more inside the mind of duos. I could do a more stack lobby if you guys want. Don't forget to check out the creative maps codes down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.